All right, guys. We are back. We're in the new studio, and it's coming along swimmingly because I like that phrase. No, it's coming around real well. I've got artwork up. I got the brick up. I got some soundproofing foam. For those on the YouTube version, you can see behind me this big, nasty, grayish wall. That's going to be fixed real soon. What else? Just waiting on a couple more pieces for the table, like the deer head and a few things like that. But everything else, we're good to go. This week, I was supposed to have on my first guest in studio, in the new studio, that is. And she bailed on me last minute. It's fine. It's fine. It's actually fitting that she was like this woman that I was going to have on was kind of like the last remnants of like Katrinka and her little posse, if you will, I guess, or just like her people, right? And I was just doing it to just give this young lady a little voice. She's trying to make it in the world. And it turns out she's just not reliable. And I should have seen this coming, and it's my fault. I saw her bail on Katrinka one time over some BS, some stupid excuse, and then she bailed on me. She was supposed to be actually one of my last guests in the last studio. She came up with some excuse for that too, and against my better judgment, I was like, all right, I'll give her one more chance to be, it was my fault for relying on a young girl that's already bailed out a couple times on some things to like put my hopes and rely on her. Hey, be my first guest in my new studio. I was like, I've already got like anxiety about setting it all up and starting all over again in this new, and of course she bailed on me last minute. Who knows if it was a legit excuse? It seemed it doesn't matter. I wouldn't put it past some certain people to have maybe put the kibosh on that. You know what I'm saying, right? If you're not with me, you're against me. And if you're against me, who knows what you're doing behind my back? I don't know, and I don't care. Because you know what? I'm in control of this bad boy. This podcast's taking off. I've got the guest book lined up for like the next February, March, and a little bit of April. Guests are booked already. I am so excited. I'm getting guests that I want. I'm reaching out to the people that I want and the ones that I'm interested in talking to, right? And you guys are going to enjoy what we have coming up. I promise you. There's some awesome guests. Next week we got every week. Yeah. I'm so excited. I'm on cloud 9, you guys. I like this motivation that I've had going on ever since these past few weeks. It's been great. It's been a drug. It's been like this awesome drug of motivation, and it's just the best natural high, and I love it, and I'm just putting it out there, and I hope you guys are ready for this ride, right? The podcast is really gonna take off even more. Like this last month, I had 420 new subscribers, and we're going up from there. So this interview that we did today, or this podcast, this episode, whatever, it's funny thing is I did it with him a few weeks ago, and because I'm still a rookie, I'm still green at this whole podcasting and technology business, I messed up the audio on it. So I was like, hey man, I can't release this. Like I have to release quality stuff to you guys. That's how you guys are going to keep showing up, right? So he was cool with that. And so I was like, well, we'll reschedule. So the other day, yesterday, this chick bails on me last minute, and I called him, or I hit him up on Discord, and was like, hey, man, are you free today to do the podcast? It'd really be helping me out. He was like, oh, yeah, absolutely. So I was able to, do the part 2 of the podcast, and part 1 was never heard. And this was a totally different conversation, and it was really good. And you guys, this was a bit of a different episode because he asked me a lot of questions. It was almost like I was a guest on my own podcast because he was asking a lot of stuff about the podcast and kind of the personal stuff. Like, if you guys want some of the dirt on Katrinka and custom, I don't even know, custom Craven, custom Capital, custom whatever their KC custom, I don't know, stuff is. If you want a little bit of dirt on all that, listen to this episode. I mean, we get into it a little bit. It's a podcast. But then we also got into a little bit of some of what he does. He used to be a skydiver. Dude has, I don't know, what do you say, like 800 skydives. And he's a Twitch, another one of these Twitch streamers, Twitch poker players. Don't let that scare you guys. If you're not into poker or into Twitch, don't let it scare you, because it's not like we get into like this heavy duty poker talk, like inside baseball kind of stuff. It's like I don't like to do that with my guests a lot, especially with the poker ones, because I want people to see who they are. Not exactly just because he's a streamer and a poker player. There's more to these people than just that. That just happens to be what they do. But they just have so much more to offer. And I hope you guys stick around. I hope you guys are interested in this. So this is a bit of a different podcast. He came at me with some questions and kind of put me on the spot, caught me off guard. And I was in a bit of a mood to talk, I guess. And this is a pretty clean episode. I'm not going to lie, I dropped the F-bomb maybe once or twice. Maybe a couple other bombs, but not too bad. So this is like going to be the complete opposite of the previous episode with Como Barrio. We can't help ourselves. I can't help myself. I'm going to tell you, I'm a train wreck around him on the podcast. We get to drinking. I end up not eating any food. So I'm not making excuses. I'm just a train wreck in general. Most times I can keep the train wreck contained, but other times it just goes off the rails. Without further ado, do I have anything more to explain? I don't know. Mark's a really good guy. Mark, you can find him everywhere at the number 1 and then DullGeek. 1DullGeek. And this was a really fun episode. I enjoyed it. I enjoy him. I always enjoy talking to him. You guys, I think, will enjoy this one, whether you like poker or not. Blah, blah, blah. I feel like I'm rambling now. So, without any further ado... Oh, this is like my first intro. I'm doing this for the audio and the video. Everyone's getting the same thing this time. No more messing around. Trying to make it easy on myself. Here we are in the new studio. Next week, we'll hopefully, if this other lady doesn't bail out on me last minute, which I don't think she is. This guest I have next week will be my official first guest in the studio, and it's going to be a really good, interesting, different kind of guest for me. So look forward to that. But until then, here's a really good episode with my man Mark, 1DullGeek. Enjoy.
Time for Neanderthal.
Neanderthal podcast. Podcast is always in my head.
Listen to Neanderthal.
3, 2, 1. Here we are. Mark, 1DullGeek.
Ryan, how you doing, Rura?
Rora, that's what's up. I'm doing good, man. I thank you so much. I had a guest set up today to be my first guest in the brand new studio, and she bailed on me last minute, and you were kind enough to help me out and join me, and I really thank you for helping a friend in a bind.
My pleasure, my friend. My pleasure, my friend. I'm happy to do it.
And the other thing is, we already did this once, so like you're doing the double favor for me. Like we already had a podcast, and I'm a monkey and screwed it up. So we're doing this all over again.
I will say you sound significantly better this time around than you did last time. I had no idea what your sound setup was like, but I'm like, wow, maybe he's got the good sound going to the podcast software, and I just get the crappy sound. I don't know. I have no idea, right? So
I wouldn't do that to you. There's no way. I like you too much for that.
Yeah, you sound better. You sound good now, man. You sound good.
Good. Appreciate it.
How are you doing?
That's a loaded question.
Oh man,
That's a loaded question. But
my Mountain Dew with the green screen looks ridiculous. Like over on this side, it almost looks invisible. That's
Wow,
kind of
that's
cool.
like a Crystal Pepsi.
Yeah, yeah. There you go. There you go.
Do you remember Crystal
I
Pepsi?
do remember Crystal Pepsi. It was nasty.
I the only guy that loved it? I loved Crystal Pepsi. Like I
I did.
craved it.
Oh wow. I guess there had to be the one, right?
I had to be one. I was so bummed out when they lost it. I remember where I was. I was like, I don't remember what grade. I was probably like eighth grade, ninth grade. What movie was it? Pulp Fiction just came out. I think it was around the time Pulp Fiction came out. Crystal Pepsi was around, right? Does that
I'm
sound right?
I'm looking it up now.
Yeah, nice.
Um, introduced in
94?
1992. Test
92.
market 92 nationwide in December 92.
What what was a big movie in 92?
I don't know.
Let's see. Maybe it wasn't Pulp Fiction. I feel like it was.
I
How
think
long did it
that
run?
seems
How long was the
the Mighty
Pepsi
Ducks,
run?
Unforgiven, Reservoir Dogs. Reservoir Dogs. It has to be Reservoir
Oh,
Dogs.
maybe that's what I'm thinking. Close enough. It's Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah, exactly. Has to be that.
You can see how I would confuse the two. I was a kid.
I can. I can.
92,
I can.
92. Yeah.
1992. Let's see. I was just graduating college.
Wow. Soccer was my life in 92. Like eat, breathe, sleep. Soccer was like that's all I knew.
For me, it was skydiving. It was
Oh,
just
holy cow. Scott,
100% diving.
you don't seem like the eh, high risk taker kind of type, but I mean that's just me being an asshole and
No,
assuming things.
I was a skydiver in college. A buddy of well, so the story actually starts. My mom at some point she denies this to this day for what it's worth. But at some point when I was a little kid, she said, I'm going to jump out of an airplane. And it just shocked the heck out of me. I'm like, you're going to do what? I thought she was basically confessing that she was going to commit suicide. So I was petrified. And she says, no, 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 with a parachute. And I'm like, oh, that's brilliant. I want to do that. I want to
Yeah.
do that. And then I got to college and a buddy of mine told me about how he had gone and done it. And so at that point, I'm like, okay, I got to figure out a way to make this happen. A few months later, me and another buddy decide we're going to go skydiving. We go, have an absolute blast. There's a whole bunch of us that actually went and had an absolute blast. But me and this other buddy got really, really hooked to it. And we just went back and kept going back. And then eventually got off of student status. And eventually I became an instructor for something called uh, instructor assisted deploy, IAD deployment. And then he became a tandem instructor. I have 835 total jumps, which relatively speaking isn't that many, but it was fun. It was a great time. And when my kids, and I stopped the last time I skydived was when my oldest was right before he was born. And he is 21 now. So it's been 21 years. But as soon as the youngest is like in college, he's 13, it's back on. And the oldest is like, when do I have to wait till you can go skydiving with me? I'm like, you got to wait till the youngest is 18. He's like, dang it. That's a long time. I'm like, trust me, buddy. It's been a long time for me too. But I'm pretty sure I know 3 of the 4 want to go with me. I'm not sure about the 4th, but I know for certain 3 of the 4 want to go.
3 of the 4 kids?
Yeah, 3 of the 4 kids.
Oh, you have 4 kids?
I do. I have 4 kids, all
Oh,
boys.
wow. Oh, wow. Wow, your
Yeah.
wife must just be
And we have a boy dog too, and she's like, oh, please, can I have a girl's room? So I actually moved. I moved I had my office and my streaming environment in my master bedroom. We have a fairly large master bedroom, and so I had like a sort of wing of the master bedroom set aside for the streaming, and I moved out so that she could have that as her girl space.
Oh, how
So
nice.
I am now in what was formerly called the man. Well, it's still the man cave, but the kids don't use it anymore. So I've sort of commandeered it. It's now my man cave.
Like a basement or something? You just have like a little
No, it's upstairs. It's actually
Oh,
it's
okay,
upstairs.
cool.
It was so like in some houses where you have a 2-story living room.
Oh,
This is a bonus room above that living room. So
Oh, yeah,
we
yeah. I know
built,
what you mean. Yeah.
yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So I like what you got in the background there. You get the green screen going on, and you're able to
I do
run.
have the green screen going on. So like if I take, I can go and hold on a second. Let me find the setting. So what I did was I use so here's what it looks like without the green screen or with the green screen off. So you know, but then I turn it back on. So what I'm doing is I'm in OBS Studio right now, and
Right.
so there's a plugin in OBS Studio called Virtual Cam, and so what that does is it creates a virtual camera in the software. So the software is now sending to this virtual camera that can then be imported by anything else as if it were a camera. So that it just lets me do a lot of the stuff that I had been doing camera wise. All of my camera settings are the way I want them in OBS, and tinkering with it outside of OBS is a pain in the butt. So I just do it that way.
Now that everybody is the reason he goes by 1DullGeek.
Yeah, and like whatever number of people we had listening to this before are like, oh dear God,
How we go from
get me out of here.
skydiving to this? Yeah.
Get me out of here. This is gonna be bad.
Yeah, that's why I was saying I was surprised that you were kind of, a risk taker to be the skydiving type, right? I mean, that's
Oh
pretty
yeah, no,
risky.
I am very much a trial and error guy. I'm willing to try anything. And there's actually a buddy of mine who says you have to try everything twice because the first time you're not sure if you liked it. You won't
Right.
know for certain if you liked it. You try it a second time to either confirm that you liked it or reevaluate, right? And so I'm kind of that guy. And that's actually how I got into streaming. There was Killingbird. You know who Killingbird is, right?
I love Killing Bird. He's been a guest on the podcast.
I should probably mention that one of the things I do is I stream on Twitch, right? I
Yes,
stream poker, mostly poker on Twitch, but sometimes other things. Like the last few things that I've been streaming on Twitch is testing my network because I've been having some network bandwidth issues, which is a really exciting stream, let me tell you. But I got into streaming because Killingbird KB is a great guy. He is just an unbelievable personality, and I love him. But it was pretty obvious that there were some technical things that he was struggling with on his stream, and so I decided that I needed to figure out how to do this, how to like make streaming work, so that I could advise him and give him some idea of how to help, what things he could make better and what things he could change. And so I started streaming just for the purpose of learning how I could manage a streaming software and what happened. And then people started showing up. It was really kind of weird. I didn't expect that at all. And then people started showing up more regularly. I got affiliated, and then they started subscribing and dropping bits, and I'm like, oh, I guess I got to continue doing this now. So it really started off as just my desire to try something and learn how it worked, and then from there it sort of expanded on it. It got a life of its own that I did not anticipate.
Yeah, I've noticed that. No, I didn't notice that. I didn't know that you didn't anticipate it, but I was one of the first ones in your stream, and it was just I did it because I was a KB. I watched all of his streams too, and you would just be part of the community. And like, there's a couple
Yeah,
of people that are part of the community that started streaming. That it just seems like we all just kind of helped each other out. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And
Well,
it's
I like you certainly remember what it was like back when I first started. It was a hot mess. My stream looked terrible. It looked terrible, but I have like just incrementally one little bit at a time added stuff to it.
what you're
And
supposed to do. Yeah.
yeah, and it's just just a tiny little bit, maybe once a week add something. Figure out something else to do differently and add something. And that's how it got to this, and that's how it got to, like, right now I don't know if you can see, but in the upper right hand corner I've
Yeah.
got closed captions running. So it's closed because there was a guy, 87 Good Times,
Oh,
who
yeah.
at some
There
point
it
or
is.
another I found out that he has a hearing disability, and I'm like, okay, he can't hear me. Okay, let's figure out how to do closed captioning. And I saw this other guy, Uncle Slacker, was doing it, and then Poker Pastor started putting it up. I'm like, I've been meaning to get to this. I got to do this. And so it wasn't hard, added it. So
Wow, that's really cool.
yeah, just added a little bit at a time. The next thing I'm thinking about doing is I'm thinking about I don't know your podcast people aren't going to be able to see this,
I'll put this
but
on
like
YouTube also. But yeah, the audio version won't be able to see it, but the YouTube version, they'll be able to see this.
yeah, so this right now, this is my 4 table screen, and this is obviously you in the background there because this is where my tables would be. You are
Right.
where my tables would be, but I'm going to be experimenting with a new 4 table setup where there's one main table and then and the other side tables off to the side, like just in little miniaturized form. And then when I switch to them, they just switch around so that
Okay.
they can, so that everybody can see all my tables at any given time. Kind of like if you've ever seen like multi-stream work, that's kind of the way that multi-stream works. It puts one central one and then 3 tiny ones, and you can move it around.
Yeah.
So that's the plan that's the next upgrade plan that I have.
I love it, man. It's crazy to see all the innovation that the Twitch streamers come up with. Like I'm
Yeah.
always jumping around from different streams to kind of like steal different ideas from here or there, or just even kind of see what other communities are like. It's just, there are so many different communities in Twitch. Like, do you mess
Yeah, there
around?
are.
Do you only kind of hang out in poker, or like do you
No,
venture
no.
off?
So I like Dr. Disrespect a lot. There's another guy named TSM Vis. I watch him. Then there's a guy named Josh OG. I like him. I tinkered around a little bit in some so I tend to watch Fortnite. I tend to watch the battle royale games.
Okay.
Um,
PUBG.
yeah, PUBG, Black Ops, that kind of stuff. I enjoy those. Those are fun to watch. You can get a little 20-minute hit. You go in, watch something for 20 minutes, and then can pop out, right?
Right.
So those are the things that I tend to watch. I've been trying to figure out what sort of things can I do to make poker as compelling as the story of PUBG is, as those battle royale games are. The stories are just so compelling. You just are drawn. Is the guy going to win, right? And poker is kind of like battle royale, except instead of 20 minutes, it's like 10 hours, right?
Yeah,
And
that's the get. That I mean, that's what's the difference, because nobody wants to sit and watch the story, the 5-hour story. They want to see the 20-minute story.
That's right. That's right. That makes it really, really hard. Which is why in poker, where the people who are succeeding the most are making final tables. You make final tables,
And that's what
you
people
get
show up for, right?
yeah, tons of people show up, and final tables for significant money. I
Right.
made a final table probably 2 months ago that, it was for like first place was going to be like $4,700 or something like that,
Mhm.
and before I knew it, I had 200 people in my stream. I couldn't
Oh,
believe
wow.
it.
Nice. How
Like I
fun is
could not
that?
believe it. Yeah, and yeah, it was fantastic, but I wasn't prepared for it. So I did not I had a whole bunch of alerts on for follows. For every single follow was an
Oh,
alert.
right,
And oh
right.
my gosh, it was just going off nonstop. And
Yeah.
so like one of the things I have to do is like I've I kind of arrogantly think I'm going to continue to make final tables, right? So if I'm making final tables, I need to have a setup that lets me quickly switch to, okay, this is high viewer count mode. I got to disable alert, a follow alerts. I got to disable, I got to change when somebody drops a bit. A bit is a 1 cent donation, and
Right.
there's lots of ways to drop 1 cent donations, but I can't have an alert going off like nonstop for an hour and a half, which is what happened last time.
Right.
Yeah, so that was pretty crazy. That was pretty crazy.
Matt Staples, one of the bigger streamers, he had
Yeah.
his when he was kinda newer, he had his like that too, and I would go in there and I would just spam penny after
Yeah.
penny after
Yeah.
penny. You're like, "Hey, thanks for the 1 cent." And it's so funny to hear, my name is Rural Route 23 on Twitch. It is so funny to hear Canadians try and pronounce my name. They just have the hardest time. Like, ask Big Dog or one of the Staples brothers. Just you have to type out Rural Route and have them pronounce it. It's hilarious.
Well, I struggle to pronounce your name. I
Yeah,
struggle and I'm not from Canada. I'm from I guess I'm from Wisconsin, which is almost Canada.
you're kind of Canadian.
Um, yeah, I guess. We'll. In any case, like so I have a little command, or at least I used to in my stream, RURARA, whenever you'd show up.
Right.
And I would type exclamation point RURARA because that's what I can say.
Yeah.
And even
Rora.
Yeah, even when I earlier today I said Ryan Rurura, and I think you heard rural route because I just struggle with rural route.
Yeah, it's a tricky. I don't know why it's so tricky, but that's just a tricky one.
Yeah.
But the Canadians have the hardest time. It's funny. Like there's some Americans,
What
I
do they
guess.
say?
I don't know. I can't. I'm not Canadian. I don't speak that language. It's like a root. I don't.
Oh,
They trip
root.
over. Yeah, they say root, but the rural part, the world root. I don't know. I can't do it. You just have to. You just have to have them do it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's worth the price of admission.
I got to find a Canadian now.
Yeah, they're all over the place. They're all over the place.
Oh,
Canadian.
Vanessa's a Canadian.
Yeah,
Vanessa Cade's a Canadian.
there you
I
go.
should have. I should ask her to say it.
Yeah, you just got to type it. They have to read it.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, I think it's like in the. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not even gonna begin to speculate. You guys
She
just
might
eat.
be able. She doesn't have a Canadian accent though. She might be able to pull it off.
Yeah, she seems Americanized.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got
So
I
you're
got
from
some
Kansas. You're from KC, right?
I was born and raised in Michigan, so I'm close to Canada also, like Upper
Uh,
Michigan too. I was up there.
oh wow.
But yeah, I claim Kansas City now. I've been in Kansas City for quite a while, and this is definitely home. Like I
Are
love.
you
Yeah, I'm KC.
are you a Chef's fan?
Nah, you know what? Now the people in Kansas City are gonna like hate me. Like, how dare you say you're a Kansas City and then you don't support the Chiefs? I'm not. I'm not a big Chiefs fan. No, and there's a couple reasons for that. I'm a number. First of all, let me give you the caveat. I'm a huge Royals fan. Always have been, even before I knew anything about living in Kansas City. Like ever since Bo Jackson, I got a starting lineup of Bo Jackson and George Brett
Uh
from
huh.
way back in the day. So
Wow.
Always been a Royals fan. The Chiefs, it's a lot. They're fans. I don't like the Chiefs fans. They're really, mm, they're they're passionate. Okay, so fan is short for fanatic,
Yeah, yeah.
and they are fanatics. They're absolute fanatics here. It's absolutely insane, and the Chiefs constantly let them down, and yet they keep showing up, rooting, and just like thinking that they're the world's greatest team. And I don't know. And now they're good, so it's going to be annoying because now that they are going to be good, all these fanatics are going to be like feel
Yeah,
like
they're
they're
probably going to be good
justified.
for a while too, because Mahomes is a real deal.
Yeah, I think so. I think next year's going to be a real letdown for the Chiefs fans, though.
Mm.
I think they're going
Are
to
you?
be.
Is that going to be like a Schadenfreude moment for you, where you're like enjoying the suffering of your fellow city mates?
No, I don't care what happens. I don't care if they do good or bad. I just think
Oh, I
next year's
see.
going to be. I think they're going to have a tough year next year, and it's going to make a lot of butt hurt Kansas Cityans.
Mm.
But the reason is I like fantasy football. I'm a huge fantasy football guy, so I root for players. I don't have a team. And growing up in Michigan, I still am a diehard Michigan fan. So I've always just been more into college football. So
Mm.
go blue. And
How about those Badgers beating Michigan last week in basketball?
oh, I don't know. I don't really watch a whole lot of
Well,
basketball.
you're not a college you're not an overall Michigan fan. You're a Michigan football fan.
I like them like when it's the final or the March Madness. Like I love that stuff. But I don't follow basketball, college basketball, or any basketball. Basketball's so boring. It just ends up being they pretend. So basketball's like two games. They pretend to play one game called basketball, and then when there's like a minute half left or 2 minutes left, it turns into this game of free throws, and
Hmm.
I don't like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, if it's a close game, it turns into the game of free. Or if, well, not if one team is like sort of within striking distance of catching, but out in trouble, right?
Mhm.
In those situations, it happens. But I love college basketball. I love college basketball.
I
Like
get it. I mean, college
the,
sports is where it's at. I love
the
college sports, but yeah, it's
yeah,
just
the tournament is like the best sports event of the year. It's just the best.
it is a really great event. I love March Madness. I do love
Yeah, me
because I
too.
like to gamble too. So
There you go.
I mean, that's the biggest thing. I just like to gamble. I like to watch my money on the brackets.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but
I've
yeah,
never been much into sports betting. I've just never gotten into it. I don't do the DFS stuff. I don't do any of that stuff. I know I obviously in the poker world you have a bunch of people who are big DFS fans, and
Right.
because they're gamblers, right? They're, but not for me.
Gambling's fun. I love to gamble. I mean, I got it under control. I'm not like a I don't have a problem. I don't have to call the 800 number, but I mean, who doesn't like to throw 20 bucks down on a football game or something, you know?
Me, I
No,
don't I
yeah,
don't
you're the
like to
one.
I don't like to.
You're the one. Yeah, you're the one that doesn't like to do that, and I'm the guy that likes crystal clear Pepsi.
Yeah, yeah, wow. So I wonder if there's a correlation. I should ask KB, who definitely likes to throw down on sporting events. Hey, what do you think of Crystal Pepsi?
Yeah, he's from Northern Michigan. He's probably got bad taste in soda. He probably likes crystal clear Pepsi too.
Yeah, he might. He might. I'm actually going to see him next weekend. I he's been trying to upgrade his PC for a while, and so I bought a PC for him that he's obviously going to repay me back for, but that's going to be an upgrade. And next weekend I'm going to go deliver it, and we're going to do some streams, and I suspect a significant amount of drinking. So that'll be
Ain't
fun.
nothing wrong with that. That's what I'm crushing these all day IPAs from Founders.
Oh yeah.
They're now an official sponsor of the show.
Oh wow.
I'm kidding.
Oh, that's too bad.
I'm kidding. I can just dream out loud, can't I? Yeah.
No, I like Founders. They've got some good
Founders is
beers.
great. Oh, they make amazing beer. They yeah, they're in Michigan. Yeah, they make some amazing beer. I've got a guy from Boulevard. You ever had Boulevard beer from Kansas
Mm-mm,
City?
mm-mm. Haven't
They've
heard
got
of
it
them.
up. They have it where you're at. What style of beer do you like?
I tend to like IPAs, but I also IPAs are sort of my go-to. But
Yeah.
I also like a good porter. I like stouts. Um, like and I like trying things. I like trying new things that I haven't tried. I like sours. I really enjoy a good sour.
Ooh, I love a good sour. That's my favorite. I love sour.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So like, but I definitely enjoy trying new things. I'm very much so like it's very hard for me when I go to like it's been bugging me like the local grocery store. There's one that's like a mile and a half away from me, and it's the easiest place for me to get beer. And they have a great IPA selection. I love their IPA selection. But outside of their IPA selection, they have crap. It's like terrible. It's like all IPAs, and even
IPA
their sampler packs are different IPAs.
right, right.
I just like I don't buy 12 packs of beer of a single type of beer. I buy samplers because I like trying different things. So
Well, there's so many out there. There's so many try and yeah, the IPA it has become like an oversaturated market. They just became like there was this huge boom, like a real big, almost like a tipping point. Oh, I would say close to 5 years ago. I bet it was about five, maybe even 5.5 years ago. There was like this huge, like I mean, like you could see if you put it on a graph, you would see IPA popularity just going up, 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 and then at like
yeah, no, so it's like they're
2005,
doing like this and then
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
5 years ago, it just went boom, and it's just like everyone had like every brewery. Not only did they have like an IPA, but it was like their focused beer and like their
Yeah.
most like this is what we're gonna push. This is what we're gonna, this is what we're gonna put all of our money into advertising with, and then we're gonna make like 5 or 6 more different IPAs. Like it's just like look at some of the more popular breweries and look how many different IPAs they have. It's
Yeah.
insane.
What's funny is like it's only been my actual my enjoyment of IPAs may correspond with that explosion that you're talking about because prior to like a few years ago, they just tasted nasty and bitter to me. And then a buddy of mine handed me a beer and said, "Well, what do you think of this one?" And I tasted it and it was like citrusy and it had like I just could really taste the tartness and I'm like, this is delicious. He said, "Dude, that's an IPA." I'm like, "What?" Like there was some switch that flipped. I don't know what happened, and all of a sudden I went from hating IPAs to loving them. And so there were several years there where I just couldn't drink an IPA, and then several years after that where that was all I was drinking. And now I'm sort of back into okay. I really like IPAs. They're good. They're a good go-to. I very much enjoying them, but I'm craving some variety. I'm craving trying something else right out. So
Yeah, that's I'm the same way too. The IPAs are always my go-to. It's just like you're not gonna, you know, that's the thing about an IPA. You can't fuck it up. It's gonna be delicious. Like you
Yeah.
can't mess IPAs up. They're so good.
Well,
But
there's some of them. There's some of them that where people like the more dank flavors, the
right,
more like the earthier flavors. Those I don't like. I like the ones that are citrusy, that sort of pop out that citrus flavor.
more of a West Coast style, they would call that.
Okay, I didn't know that. I just like the ones that are. I just like the ones that have like they feel
Juicy.
like they feel juicy. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some Boulevard's got a really good one called Heavy Lifting. It's a bright green can and it has an elephant with like some balloons on it or something. It's really good. Try that next time if you see it.
Okay. Okay, Boulevard. I'm gonna write it down.
Yeah, just try any of their stuff. But if you're looking to try different, they have a lot of different styles. You ever have like a saison or a farmhouse? You ever heard of that style?
I do. Yes, I have heard of that style. I like it a lot.
They make a fantastic one. It's called Tank 7.
Okay.
Write that
Beer
down.
Recos from Rurora.
Yeah. Yeah, get Tank
Um,
7 and thank me later.
and Boulevard. Boulevard Brewing. Tank 7. Hold on a second. My wife has a question for me.
Oh, let's shout it out to the whole podcast. Maybe we can help her out. What do you think the question is, guys? What do you want for dinner tonight? Do you want lasagna? No, we had lasagna last week. How about tacos?
My second son, his car is in the shop because the return hose on the radiator, or not the radiator, the power steering, like burst, and it's just like the radiator or the power steering fluid is just a sieve. It's going straight through. So it's in the shop trying to get that repaired. Meanwhile, he has my wife's vehicle. So she's asking me, what is your driving schedule tonight? So I do have to take my son and myself to a Super Bowl party. So that
Yeah,
will
I gotta go. I gotta do that too. We can cut this. We can end this whenever you
no
want.
six. No, I don't. The answer was 6 o'clock. So
Beautiful.
I'm good. I'm good. I got another hour and 20 minutes or so.
Oh,
Not that
yeah.
not that we have to take an hour and 20 minutes.
No. We gotta. We just take a little bit of time. Although,
So, so
we
I've,
would
I,
do
I have I have a question for you. The last time we talked, I asked you, I put you on the spot and sort of asked you a question that I don't think you were really prepared to answer.
Oh
And
shit!
so
I'm
now,
probably not. I'm probably not prepared to answer it now. Whatever that
well,
question
yeah,
is.
but
Shoot it. Shoot me. Shoot
I'm
me.
guessing that you've thought about it a little bit since then. I'm guessing
Yeah.
that you have. And the question um, was what did you do? Because I've been listening to your podcasts for a while now. I started listening to them because you interviewed Drew, and I'm like, wow, that was good. That was a good podcast. And then you referred to TSB, who love both those guys,
Oh, they're the
and so I
best.
listened to that. Yeah, I listened to that one, and I could hear a distinct difference between your interview style with Drew and your interview style with Tyler. And I wondered, did you do anything to like actively work on that style? What have you done to like, because I think your podcasts are getting to the point where I would say they're really high quality podcasts. And so what I'm wondering is what it is that you've done to like improve your craft.
Geez, thank you. I'm so bad at taking compliments, man. And thank you so much for those crazy kind words. I love it. I think a lot of it just comes from just falling in love with it more and more and more. And I think a lot of it also has to do with just repetition, just like your brain's like anything else in your body. It's like muscle memory type stuff. And the more you do something, the better you get at it. And I think it's just I haven't actively, you know what? I'm gonna take that back. For the first few episodes, actually, I don't even know. I can't put a number on it. I was listening to my own podcasts. Like I got over that part where I hate hearing my voice because everybody hates hearing their own voice, right? I mean, most people do. I don't. I can't say most people. I don't like the sound of my own voice. So I had to get over that and be like, screw it. Other people seem it's like it's a decent voice. If they can handle it, I can handle it. And so I
Yeah, yeah.
started listening to my podcasts, and then I'd be like, ooh, I do this too much. Let me work on that. Or ooh, I can work. Like I would just listen to different faults that I would have, like things that I didn't like about myself or I like about the style. or just things I felt like I could improve on as a listener. And so I guess I just kind of have been working on that. Like the podcast is, it's always in my head, man. I'm always thinking about ways to improve it, ways to not just improve the studio, making it look good and sound good, but like who I can get as a guest and how I should talk to them and what kind of questions. Like I'm always just, my brain is just always filled with this podcast. I'm passionate about it. I love it. I obviously don't do this for money. I'm not getting paid anything. I'm in the hole a ton of money just for this hobby. Like I enjoy it. I do it because I love it and I get something out of it. It's just it's like I don't know. I just really love it. And I guess the more I do it, the more I love it. And just like anything else, I guess just the better I get at it. Uh,
Yeah.
I guess
Well,
that's what it is.
like so I listen to my own streams, my Twitch streams. So like that was one of a piece of advice that somebody had given to me early on. Listen to your own streams. And I started
Gotta do
doing
it. Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, I started doing it because the audio quality, like, man, I got to tell you, like, bad audio quality just tilts me like crazy. It just puts me on edge.
You can't do it. Yeah.
I can't stand it. And so I was like listening to my own for the audio quality to assess whether or not the audio quality was good. But like, I do the same thing and I listen to my streams and I'm like, oh man, there's that thing I'm doing again. Why didn't I change that? And
Yeah.
I can't, there are periods of time where I'm so deep in thought as to what I'm going to be doing that I forget to talk to the stream. And it happens over and over and I can't figure out how to improve it. It just happens. But clearly listening to your own stream or listening to your own podcast or listening to yourself and being able to evaluate yourself was a big part of what helped you.
Yeah, I think so. Because there were a lot of different things that I was just that I try not to do anymore. Still, there's still some tendencies like where I'll just veer off completely. I'll ask someone a question and we'll go down a path, and then all of a sudden I'll forget why my original question took us there, and then I'll just veer off and like, let's go 90 degrees this way, and then
Yeah,
it'll
yeah,
just
yeah.
take us completely on a different road. And I know I need to work on that sometimes, but still, I'm still so brand new at it, man. Like this is gonna be episode 35, so that's only 35 episodes. Like I am such a baby at this. I have so much further to go, and more to learn, and just more to improve on. So I look forward to that. Uh, yeah. What else?
Well,
Yeah.
you how do you get your guests? Because I'll tell you what, your guests are getting more and more interesting. Um, well, present company excluded, I would say.
Come on
Oh,
now. I have you on here for a reason, not just to bail me out. I wanted you to, as a, for many reasons. How do I get my guests? Well, we're on a podcast, and so we can talk about it, right? It started off. So I had this goal in my head for this podcast, and I had all of these guests in my mind. Oh, I'm going to get this guy who does this. Oh, and I know somebody that's really good at this, and I know someone that's knowledgeable here. In my mind, I had a year's worth of podcasts of guests. In actual reality, I had 6 or 7 people, and so I've just kind of gotten out of my comfort zone, and I just ask people who I'm interested in. Basically, Instagram is really good. I love Instagram, and I find cool people on there, and I just hit them up. I'm like, "Hey,
mm,
would
mm.
you like to be a guest on my show? I think, I really like what you're doing," or something like that. So Instagram's been a real good, uh, avenue of getting guests. One of my, interesting I was on a date with this girl, and we went to this it's called the Crossroads District here in Kansas City. And
Okay.
it's a real artsy, fun little district with, like, little microbrews and coffee shops and little pizza joints and stuff like that. It's awesome, and it's real artsy. Um, and they have just graffiti everywhere, and uh, it's legal. Like, people can just go and tag
Yeah,
them.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So me and her went on a coffee date and then walked around to go look at all the graffiti. We smell paint, and we go down the alley that we smell paint down, and there's a couple painters, dude, that are new to their thing, spray painting a whole bunch of stuff. And I just asked this dude, I start talking to him about his graffiti and stuff like that, and it just struck me. I was like, "Hey, how would you like to be on a podcast? This would be fun to talk about." And so, like, I'll do like that too. So if I see someone out who I think is interesting, I'll have them come on. And then for a little bit there, I was involved with I can't say company. That's a really loose term, but a group of people that was helping me out with the podcast, they were getting guests for me and kind of helping out on like really what did they do for me?
Well,
They
it sounds
came
like that portion's passed. Is that no
that
longer?
portion just passed. We had a falling out. I had a falling out. I had to get rid of them. When I first got connected with them, in my mind, I always said, if something goes south or if something doesn't feel right with this, I'll tell myself that I can just get away. Boom,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm out. If something is just turned, no matter what I'm losing, no matter what kind of benefits that I'm perceiving them to offer, I just have to get rid of them. I may have lost out on a really, really big opportunity. But I had to do what was right, and um, I have to sleep with myself at night and know I'm making the right decisions for myself, and I can't. I'm lucky that I got out of it when I did. I think things could have gotten a lot worse if things went down the way they did this early in this stage with them. Things could have gotten a lot crazier and a lot more difficult and complicated with the avenues we were pursuing. With I had a There's a lot of outside factors people don't know about, but I had a lot of innovative ideas and a lot of really interesting things that were about to happen that
Mhm.
I had to throw away.
Mm.
And, it is what it is, but it's not
Oh,
I
you can't do them again?
not with, the opportunity, not with this group. No, not right now, not with what was being set up. There was stuff that was in motion, that I had to cut myself from.
I see. I see.
However, I've talked to some very, very close friends of mine about, some of the situation about that's been going on, and I've told them, "This has put a chip on my shoulder like I've never had before. I am just pissed off and motivated, and I'm taking it to the next level, and I didn't need them, and I don't need them for the podcast, and I've got my schedule booked up almost through March with some fantastic guests. I've got some awesome people coming on. I got I just got some I can't say too much about some of the guests, but I got some good shit happening. I'm super excited.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
it's so I'm taking a really unfortunate situation and using it to motivate and to make things really really work in my favor.
So is this studio in your house?
This is, yes. I
So
just
so then how do you how do you convince your guests that are coming on that it's safe, that you're not like some crazy person? What do you do? What do you have to do? Do you have to and then what do you have to do to convince yourself that they're not a crazy person?
that's a good question. That's a really good question. So most people, I think they understand. They kind of check me out, right? Like, let me just check this guy if he's legit. So you can check out my YouTube. You can go to my YouTube and see all of my videos there and be like, "Oh, he's not going to do something crazy. He's actually a podcaster. Like this is for real." So I think when you look at me, you see that it's not some dude on his phone in a shitty apartment, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I
You've
have a
clearly put some capital into it. You've put some investment into it.
yeah,
So that helps you.
and I talk to people like if I'm doing it through Instagram, like I talk to them for a little bit. Like just get some just, back and forth going, just kind of, "Hey, how you doing? What do you like to do?" type stuff and just like build some kind of connection there cuz I don't want just some random person coming here and they don't want the same thing either. But it's usually dudes. Dudes aren't usually scared. They're like, "Okay, yeah, it sounds cool. Everything seems legit." Now with women, I usually say, "Hey, I understand the situation. I'll meet you wherever you'd like for coffee or something like that, and I'll buy you some coffee, and you can meet me and understand and just see who I am and get a feel for me. And then if you're cool with it, you can, here's my address and everything's legit." And I go that route, just kind of
Yeah.
like, yeah, because I understand, especially for women, it's got to be scary out there to just, yeah, hey, come to this single dude's house and do a podcast with them. Sure, I'll just do that. So, like,
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
understand
yeah,
it.
yeah.
So I make sure I want to make sure that everybody's comfortable. You know, that's yeah. I just ask people Instagram's big for me. Social media is big.
So there was a thing that we used to say. Just a second. I dropped something and it was bothering me. There was a thing we used to say in skydiving, which was the one thing you know for sure is that if you're not at the drop zone, you aren't going to jump, right? Because on weather days, you'd be sitting there going, "Well, is the cloud going to clear?" You know, those marginal days where you're not really sure if you're going to get to jump. But if you're not at the drop zone, you know for sure you're not going to jump. It's kind of like that with you and asking guests. If you don't ask them, it's guaranteed to be a no, right?
Exactly. Um, my last, I don't know, yeah, my last episode on my audio version, I do a on my audio version of the podcast, I do an intro before
Mm-hmm.
the podcast starts, like, hey, here's the guest and blah blah blah. It's always different every time, obviously. In this last one, I said, uh, Wayne Gretzky said it best: "You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take."
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's been my philosophy when it comes to asking guests. Just like, I don't know, I humble myself or whatever it is, or just, hey, would you like to? Here's who I am. Here's what I do. I would you like to be on my podcast? And it's I get surprised by not only who says yes, but how many people say yes and that they're excited about it. And it's been a lot of fun.
So what are your dreams of this? What where do you think what do you want to see happen out of this? What do you envision as like you obviously started this because you had something in mind. What's
Okay,
that something and where would it be?
this is gonna.
Is this like would the dream be to make a career out of this?
Yeah, that's so funny. This is like the definitive Ryan Weston Neander Talk podcast interview. Like, this has turned into your podcast and you're interviewing me, and I love it. This is great. This will give some people some insight on the podcast. Um, a lot of things that like my close friends know, but I guess maybe not everybody would know. I won't go too personal, but I will go. I had just gotten kind of separated in the process of getting divorced from my ex-wife, and I was, living alone by myself. And my dad came to visit me. He was stopping through town. Like, he doesn't live here, but he was rolling through town and stopped and had dinner with me and just kind of hang out. Hey, and we had a couple drinks and some good dinner. And he asked me, "What would you like to do? Like, if money wasn't an issue, that old cliche question. If money wasn't an
Yeah,
issue,
yeah.
what would you do? Anything in the world, what would you like to do?" And I thought about it for like half a second. I was like, podcast. I was like, I'd like to be like, if money wasn't an issue, if I was just didn't have to worry about money at all, I'd be a podcaster. I would make the best podcast I could possibly do, whatever I'm capable of, and that's what I would like to do. um, and then that lingered in me for a little bit, and I was like, and I've always wanted to do it. I have a real hard time. I'm a procrastinator, and
So let me stop you there for a second. Was your
sure.
father supportive of that or skeptical?
Oh no, he's supportive. Extreme. My family is extremely supportive with anything I want to do or have done, and they have been extremely. If it wasn't for my parents, I wouldn't have the podcast today.
Wow, that's awesome. That's
Or
awesome.
my sister. My parents and my sister are the sole reason I'm still doing this podcast. Or
Wow.
you
Wow.
know,
Shout shout out to your family.
yeah. Shout out to the Westas. They've been huge.
Now you were
Well,
saying I interrupted you and you were saying something about being a procrastinator.
oh yeah, I've always been a procrastinator. Really, really bad. But so I procrastinate with. I just thought I said that, but yeah, I didn't really think anything. Oh, big deal. So I said I want to do that, but I'm not really going to do it. And then let's just say, my personal life took a turn for the dark, the really dark.
Mm,
And
mm.
I had a friend that shone a little bit of light on me and helped me get the podcast started. And helped me get the equipment and just things set up and just kind of the ball rolling. And then I had no excuse, and I was like, "All right."
Was that the guy who was on like the very first series
Yeah,
of podcasts? Yeah.
very
Okay.
first one, and actually the previous one that I just had before you.
Okay.
He was my first guest in the last studio and also my last guest in that last studio. Um, yeah, we have a very interesting relationship.
I haven't heard the most recent podcast yet, but like I remember the first one thinking, oh, this guy is a character.
He's a yeah, he's a train wreck, and then that last episode we just did is a train wreck as well. It's great entertainment. I mean, yeah, he's something else, let me tell you.
Yeah.
But he, like I said, he did play a very big part in getting this podcast going. Um, and so I did a couple episodes, and then, again, without going to whatever, my personal life took a dark turn again, and I dropped off the face of the planet, and I stopped doing stuff for a few months with the podcast. I didn't even go to my studio, my room, like, it was in my house. I never even opened the door to my studio. I just ignored it and was just depressed and just was like, "Who cares? I don't e whatever." Um, and then my sister wanted to come out and visit, and she said, "Hey, I'd like to be on the podcast. I think that'd be fun." I was like, Well, I don't have this, and I don't have." I just started making excuses. I was like, "You know what, Katie? Let's do it. I'm gonna do it." And, so she really was the motivating factor to get my ass back in gear and stop making excuses and, uh, and just start doing the podcast again. So when my sister, I think it was episode 3, she came to visit me, we did the podcast. Ever since then, I've been going at it hard. Like, I've only missed a couple weeks here or there. And,
Hmm.
yeah, and yeah, just, social media is how I get a lot of my guests.
Well, thanks, Katie.
Yeah, thanks, Katie. Big shout out to Katie. She's, and she does, like, my a lot of my art
You
for
know
the
what's funny?
podcast.
It's like I looked up Neanderthal. I just looked up Neanderthal, and the video that pops up is Neanderthal podcast episode 3, Kate Millennial Westa.
Haha, smart millennial. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, she's a really, interesting, smart, awesome sister. Like,
Mm.
it's we yeah, it's funny. I think she might have been drunk when she texted me last night. But, like, randomly, she's like, "Oh, I'm so glad we've become so close. I feel like I have, like, a close sibling, and it's just so awesome because we have a really big age difference, and, she's 21, I'm 39.
That
So,
is a pretty big age difference. Wow.
like, I was leaving the house when she was born. I was
Yeah, yeah.
18 going to sow my wild oats, and, so, she didn't grow up with, like, brothers or sisters. She's just by herself, and, but yeah, so now this podcast has brought us closer, and yeah, this podcast has been awesome. It's just been super positive.
That's awesome, man. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So, like, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Well, another question for you, but this is more focused on me. And the question for you is, I have had this idea of, like, while I'm streaming, because of Discord, there's a lot of easy ways to bring people onto the stream with voice. And I've always wondered, like, should I like have a sort of like talk show format while I'm streaming?
Ooh,
People who want to
what?
join, people who want to join the stream can click into my Discord and
Uh-huh.
then join the stream and like treat it like a question answer sort of thing. What do you think of that idea?
Ooh, I like that. So first of all, I love that you're thinking like that. I love people that think outside of the box and are always coming up with new innovative ideas to take things to the next step. Like, I think, one of the poker streamers that's great at doing that, I think, is, Jamie Staples.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's always been just on the forefront of doing the new cutting edge, technology when it comes to his stream. And I love taking different avenues other than just doing technology type stuff, like adding new bells and whistles. I think that's a sweet idea. Um, I think you should try it because it's such a new idea. Would you have a delay?
Well, yeah, I'd still have to have the delay. They'd be on. I'd still be talking about hands, and while
Right.
while that was going on, they would I would obviously talk about the hand that I'm on, but I'd still have to have a delay. But obviously, it'd be better if I could do it live, if I could do it on no delay. But
Right.
one of the things about poker is like part of like what I enjoy about watching poker streams is I enjoy watching the thought process of the person that's playing because it helps me figure out, oh, I wouldn't play it that way. Do I think my way of playing it is better or worse? Do I need to like is that person making a mistake or am I making a mistake? Right. In that
Right.
evaluation. So I almost always prefer no delay, even though the delay interrupts the interactivity. But the idea that I have is like by like sort of making it a call-in format, it gives an opportunity to have more real-time interactivity back.
I think maybe doing like a call in Friday.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
have
maybe,
like one,
maybe.
maybe just try it out. Like I think that's a really good idea. Hmm. And who would you have on? I mean, I think
I
this.
don't know. Whoever was interested, they could join my Discord. I've set up the Discord
You
so
can do
that
video
there's
Discord too.
well, I know, but I've set up the Discord, so I've got a Discord, and I've got in my I've got two voice channels. One which is a Q channel, which anybody can join, but they can't talk to each other. There's no communication. It's
Okay.
just they can join, and then a locked live channel which I can drag people into. So I would say, hey, if you're interested in asking me a question, just get in the Q channel, and as soon as somebody joins, I would drag them over to the live channel and basically say, hey, okay, hey, it's Mark. What's up? That kind of thing.
Yeah, I think you should try that for sure. And in doing that, you might even find, yeah, that could open a lot of different avenues to change up the stream a little bit. Who knows? Maybe you find someone that's like a good partner with you, and maybe you could do some kind of like cool partner stream from time to time.
Well,
Or
we've done that. One of the things there's this group of people, Poker Pastor, WD Stealth, I'm I Kristen, JJ Corrado, that we will periodically just get into somebody else's Discord,
is I'm
and
is I'm I Kristen single?
I believe so.
Oh, holla at your boy. I am Kristen.
Well, so officially she's single, but you know D Poker Pro, right?
Yeah,
D Poker Pro 007, the mod of everybody's poker stream.
yeah.
He's a mod in almost everybody's stream. She and D Poker Pro live on opposite ends of the country. D Poker Pro's in Miami and she's in LA, but they call each other husband and wife. Sort of like as like they're Twitch married is the way they describe it. And
Well, listen, I'm half the distance. I'm right in the middle of the country. Spirit Airlines is like $100. Look,
yeah,
I'm just saying. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. I am my.
yeah.
Yeah, hit your boy up. Neanderthal Podcast. Gmail.com.
Oh, she's great. She is great. She's funny. She's got a laugh. There's an argument going on as to whether or not her laugh on stream or Tyler's laugh is better. She contends that Tyler's laugh is better, but there's some debate. I would argue that hers is yeah, I think hers is a closely edges out Tyler by a little bit. Now, interestingly enough, Tyler agrees with me, but Tyler's probably just being humble, you know.
Self-deprecating is what that guy.
Yeah,
Is.
yeah. But I'll let her know. I'll let her know that you mentioned something.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and make a clip on what we just did here and send it? You'd appreciate the clip, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Anyway.
This is funny. This is I'd like to be. I've like, if I'm not careful, I can slowly become the official ACR Stormers interviewer.
Well, I have, like, as you can see, I've got ACR Stormers in the background, and ACR Stormers has been an unbelievable support of my stream. I had a home game with them through them for a little bit. They've been just incredibly supportive of my stream. And I put stuff up on my stream because like I want to like shout out and give support Stormers as much as I can. But I'm also not like, one of the things I want to make sure is clear is that I am not a shill for America's Card Room. I am happy to support people who are supporting me and happy to, but to, but I'm happy to also play if I think there's great value on Bet Online or on Ignition or wherever. I'm going to play wherever is going to be best for me, and I'm happy to like. And Stormers has been great support, so I'm happy to like continue to like advertise for them as much as possible. But I'm not a shill. I am, I will do whatever helps me and helps me be best. So
Who are the shills? Who are the ACR Stormer shills?
I have an opinion on that, and I'm not going to call anybody out. Not
Uh,
in something that's going to get published.
yeah.
So so
Huh.
I'll leave
All
that
right. All
alone.
right. What is an ACR Stormer shill? What do they do that you disagree with? And like what yeah, you don't have to say who they are, but
So like basically ACR overall, like they
ACR is
America.
americascardroom.com
Yeah,
for
the
online.
unwilling, the sort of unwillingness to like acknowledge that America's Card Room has some problems, right? That they're not perfect. That like right now they are by a significant margin the best option for American players because of
Right.
some of the rules of the road and the game. They're realistically the best option. They're the safest option. They're the biggest. But they're not perfect. They have problems, and the way that they handle some of those problems is in itself a problem, right? So the people that I would say are shills are the people who ignore that. Are the people who say, you know, who like sort of whitewash away some of the problems that ACR has and some of the improvements that ACR needs to make. And I'm not saying that, you know, I'm not trying to say that like anybody else is better. I don't know that there are people that are better, but ACR has problems, and to the extent that ACR can fix them and address them is great. I would love to see ACR fix and address those problems. But there are some people out there who ignore those problems and try to cover them up, and that bothers me. I'm not interested in
Huh.
I'm not interested in that. Um but
That strikes me as interesting because the problems are so glaring and it's so easy to see and they're just out there. I don't know why you would even pretend that they don't exist. Like even
yeah,
ACR has to be aware of it. Like they're not are they pretending that they don't have bot problems? They don't have, Russian problems? I mean,
yeah, so I don't like every site has bot problems. Every single site has bot problems, and cash games bot problems are hard to protect against. I
right.
mean, from a technical perspective. But the problems that I see are like I don't know why ACR and only ACR struggles with the DDoS attacks that
Video,
they have. Yeah, I don't get what they're I don't get what they're not doing or what they're why they uniquely have this problem. Um, so like that's the part that I'm confused about. Like you know, are there DDoS attacks on Ignition? Are there DDoS attacks on PokerStars? I never hear about them. I never hear about them anywhere except on
they're not shutting
the
down the site, that's for sure.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. And so like what is ACR not doing that other sites are doing, or is there something unique to the way that ACR's architecture is that makes it difficult for them to prevent? And if it's unique, why are they not addressing that issue? One of the things that like from a programming perspective, there's this thing called agile development, and agile development is supposed to be a mechanism whereby you take, and I should comment that professionally I'm a computer programmer. I work as a computer programmer for a large bank, and uh, so we use agile development at work, and the idea behind agile development is that rather than having these gigantic long development life cycles where you have to plan everything up front for 6 months away for the release, you what you do is you have rapid development that gets in front of the users very, very quickly so that they can give feedback. And so rather than be 6 months off course, you're 1 week off course. So you've got small course corrections rather than gigantic course corrections. And ACR prides itself, WPN prides itself on being using agile for basically everything. And so the big question that I have for them is, okay, so you've had this DDoS problem for several years now. How does that comport with agile? What is not happening? What is going on with your environment and your architecture that you can't adjust it to be more resilient to this. I don't understand that. So, and you know, I've never had an opportunity to directly talk to any of the heads leaders at. Well, that's not entirely true. I had a stream. There was a gigantic co-stream with Phil Nagy that I hosted. But it was mostly him talking, and there were a few questions. But
That guy's
it was
funny. That guy's
yeah,
funny. You can get that guy riled up so easily. It doesn't take much
yeah,
to put that guy on tilt.
yeah, yeah. But like my point is to say that I like ACR a lot. I don't want to like. I also don't want to alienate ACR. They're not. I'm not enemies with them. I'm
Right.
not. I think they're great, but they have some problems, and I'd like to see them addressed. And I wonder what it's going to take to get those addressed. And so that my point is, what does a shill look like? A shill is somebody who just whitewashes over those issues, and I have a few people in mind.
Nice.
Those people know that what I think of them. So they wouldn't be surprised. So if any of my friends are out there going, is he thinking of me? No. If you know already who you are,
You
I'm
already
just not
know.
gonna. Yeah, I'm just not gonna advertise. I'm not gonna.
How do they know? Have you told them, or like how
Because
do they?
we've had discussions. We've had
Okay.
discussions about it.
I gotcha. What do they say? Why do they say that they're being a shill? Like, why are they? Do they
Well,
come?
I can't
Why
really answer that without. I can't really answer
Okay.
that.
Okay, I gotcha. Sorry, didn't mean to put you on
Yeah.
the spot. So is it?
Yeah. I
Is
don't,
it
I just I'm trying not to alienate anybody here. I'm trying to
no, I
not
got you.
like.
I'm not trying. I don't want to get you in too much trouble,
Yeah. Yeah.
even though your people are still going to come back and watch your stream.
Yeah, I hope so. But well,
Just, just saying, you can alienate a couple people. Everyone's still going to come back and get.
trust me. There's plenty of people that I've alienated. There's a
Really?
couple there's a couple of people that I want to alienate right now, but I'm not going to do it
What?
until it's
You've alienated people? How and what? Like how so? Like what
well
was the?
when they've done things that I considered to be uncalled for to my friends, and they've behaved badly on Twitch and like done a bunch of things that I don't think is
Talk,
just
talking trash
yeah.
on them? What?
Well, talking trash, doing things in other people's streams, talking about them in other people's streams, and stuff like that.
Look at
That
me
I
in the
just think is
look at me in the
too.
eyes right now. You see me?
I see
It's
you.
Lappy Poker. It's him, isn't it?
It's not Lappy Poker. Lappy is an interesting character.
Yeah,
Lappy
he is in a
character.
character. That is for damn sure. That guy is very
But
interesting.
I think he is really trying to. I think he's making an unbelievably concerted effort to control his temper. You watch his streams of late, and they're very different than his streams of, say, a couple of years ago.
He still streams.
He does, and I would say he's probably outside of like within the U.S. He's got to be one of the biggest U.S. streamers. He's got
Really?
to.
Why?
I mean, he routinely gets 100 people, 100 viewers every time out, routinely.
Is it because he's so like he's just a polarizing figure and people just like love to hate on him? And
Well,
he's
I
just
think he makes a lot of final tables. I think he makes a lot of big money final tables. And he's doing something with his bankroll management that allows him to play whatever buy-in level he wants to. Like if I ever get to the point where I can play routinely, 265s and that kind of thing on a regular, who knows? But my bankroll's not there. So
what are you routinely playing these days?
generally 22s are pretty. I'll play a $22 tournament without thinking too much about it, and then I'll occasionally maybe once or twice a month I'll take a shot at a 55. But 22s and 33s are pretty regular. 11s are I don't even think about $11 tournaments.
Really? 'Cause that's awesome because I think when I first started watching you were playing like the micros, right? Like the
Yeah.
$5.
Yeah, yeah.
Really?
I ventured into the medium tab on America's Card Room these days, so I get up there.
Like,
Yeah, it's a little scary, but one of the things that's nice about the medium tab is like there's a lot fewer players. So one of the things that I've been trying to do is target tournaments that have a lot fewer players in them.
mhm.
And one way to do that is to go for the low value tournaments at the low tab. But even the low value tournaments at the low tab, you get a lot of people buying into. So by increasing my buy-in level, I have reduced variance. So
Oh,
so
nice.
rather than play a tournament that has 2,000 players in it, that I've got like a 1 in, you know, I don't know, 1 in 100 chance of making a lot of money on. I'd rather play a tournament that has maybe 200 players, and it costs a little bit more, but I reduce my variance because my chance of getting deep in a 200 player tournament versus a 2,000 player tournament is a lot. It's just a lot better. So, it's just a technique that I'm doing to try and reduce my variance. I mean, I have a bankroll that I have an extremely conservative bankroll management strategy, just extremely conservative. So I don't have to do, because poker is not my profession, any winnings that I have can stay in the bankroll, right? They don't
Nice.
have to go to life rake. I don't have to like pay bills out of them. Now I
Right.
have occasionally removed a few dollars to pay some bills just because
Why
I
not?
can, right?
Right.
Right. But for the most part, almost everything stays in the bankroll. And so I have to figure out at some point when the bankroll is big enough to support like just raking it regularly, But right now it's not. Right now the goal is to grow the bankroll.
And then to do what? Like, how do you just want to play high level? Is that your goal? Like,
Well, I want to get
I never, go ahead.
a point where I can extract value from poker. And right now, all of that value that I'm extracting from poker is going into growing the bankroll, right? So I don't know that, like, for a while there, my goal was $5,000 a year. And given the volumes that I play, that's a really difficult goal for me to reach. So I would say that if I can like play recreationally and extract $5,000 to $10,000 a year, that's probably good enough. That's good enough for me.
That's pretty sweet.
Run deep every so often. That'd be fine.
And then in that, you're also growing your Twitch channel and keeping the Twitch going, Twitch stream alive, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I may step. I don't know. I mean, I get I used to golf, and I was on the 11th hole and realized I'm tired of this. I'm bored. And I haven't golfed since. This was probably 5 years ago.
Did you
I just
quit?
stopped.
Did you quit on the 11th hole?
No, I finished out the round because I was with friends, but I mentally quit, but I haven't
Yeah.
gone back since. I
Wow.
haven't gone back since.
Oh, so you're saying maybe this could happen at some time? Like, I'm bored with
I could see that. I
streaming.
could see that. I could see that happening to me with poker, where I just get bored. I just
Oh
get
yeah, yeah, I can see that. That's kind of, yeah, yeah, yeah,
so.
yeah.
But who knows if I ever hit something gigantic, I'm gonna go play in the WSOP, their 50th anniversary tournament that they have coming up here in June. It's a $500 buy-in with $1 million first place guarantee.
Holy cow, $500! You can't. That's some good value there.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it
Can't
is.
pass that
So
up. Wow.
yeah, and no rake because it's their 50th anniversary. They're no rake. It's rake free.
Wow,
So
that's very cool.
yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna go play in that. That'll be fun. But heck, if I win that, then who knows what's on. Then
And
I
what?
may
Let me
then
ask.
I would put aside a certain amount for the bankroll. I'd put aside so I'm a practicing devout Christian, and so I would set aside 10% for church, because that's what I do. And then the rest would go to like probably pay off houses, first I've had pay off pay the tax, which would be just insanely painful.
Right.
But then I might pay off my house, and then I would not make much lifestyle style change except for poker. I would start increasing my buy-in levels. I would start trying to buy into things that a $50,000 bankroll could support, right?
Right.
That the bankroll that I have right now can't support. So that's what I'd do, and I'd up my game. I'd try and get good enough to support that game. It would require a lot of focused effort on study at that level.
Think you'd get,
because
like, do some more training, like, hire some trainers or something
oh,
like that?
I have coaches. I use coaches.
Yeah.
I have Drew is one of my coaches, and then
Would you
another
ever
guy named.
would you change your coaching up if you made that kinda money? Like, get one of, like, the big name dudes, like, I don't know.
Well, I use so I would probably not stop using Drew as a coach because he has a very an interesting perspective on the game. That one of the things about poker is it's not solved, right? It's not a solved game, so perspectives matter.
Right.
And I like multiple perspectives. So right now I use Bet on Drew and Snoston Lost as coaches. Snoston Lost is another Twitch streamer. Jason Smith is his name, and he's he has a very different perspective on the game than Drew does. And so I would probably in add coaches, add perspectives, but I don't think I'd take away perspectives.
Nice. Loyal. I like it.
Yeah,
Um,
it's not about loyalty as much as, like, I mean, you can look at it as loyal, but it's more I don't want to lose that perspective, right?
okay.
It's loyal implies that there isn't something that I gain out of it.
Yeah.
And it I Drew is a great coach. If you are um it, like wanting to get started with coaching, there is no one better to get started on the coaching process than Drew. There's just no one better. He is such a good coach. He is so good at coaching.
You
Um,
ever think about coaching?
Actually, one of the things that Drew has said to me is like his challenge for me, and I have resisted it with unbelievable ferocity. Is he's like, the next step for you, geek, is you need to coach. You need to
Alright.
set out a sign and start coaching. And his logic and his rationale behind that is that you don't really learn something until you have to teach it to somebody else.
Yeah, exactly. You hear a lot of martial artists kinda say the same thing.
And I don't disagree with that. In theory, but I don't feel comfortable taking on the responsibility of somebody else's bankroll,
Hmm.
of somebody else's results. That just scares the crap out of me.
What kind
And
of,
so,
like, what kind of player bankroll would he suggest you coach? Like a low limit guy, like a guy that's playing $1, like $5 and below? Or
well,
or like
his goal for me to coach is not to say, pick this level of person to coach, is to say you need to coach because coaching drives a desire to understand.
right.
And whatever level you decide to coach at is irrelevant. You're going to need to educate yourself before you can coach it.
But
And if you don't have,
as far as finding a student, like, who are you, like, gonna be comfortable like, what would you be comfortable with?
I
A
would
sh
be comfortable with like somebody who is like just brand new to the game, who said to me, "Hey, I really have absolutely no idea what the heck I'm doing here. Help me out." And so some of the basics like position, bet sizing, like very very basic bet sizing, um, things like things like the basic rules of the game, that kind of stuff. I would be happy talking about. Very very rudimentary range construction. I'd be happy talking about that with somebody who is very beginner. I would be comfortable with that. I could do that. It's just that yeah. I say I could do that, but I at the same time I also know that like the idea of like telling somebody this particular thing and then watching them run off and implement it while I'm on a downswing, right, just terrifies me. Right. And sometimes downswings are my fault, and sometimes downswings are variance's fault. And it's really hard to discern which is which. But the idea of like trying to give somebody else advice while my game is not working is just horrifying.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Uh, yeah, but you gotta understand that's just part of poker. I mean,
It's true.
your advice should be sound, whether it's going through a downswing or not. It's sound advice, and you have proven statistics to back up your play. So you just have to, and you're assuming that your student's gonna be watching your results, right? Like, they're
Yeah.
probably gonna be
No, they're
wrapped up.
not. I guarantee you they're not watching it as closely as I am.
Yeah,
Right.
I wouldn't worry about that.
It still
I just
freaks me out. It still
yeah,
freaks me out.
just one thing. Maybe just find someone you're comfortable with, even if you can't like pronounce his name. If it's like Aurora, I don't know. If,
Whoa, are you applying for coaching now? Is that what you're doing?
I'm not against it. I might. If you're looking to looking for a guinea pig, I might just be your man.
Oh.
Get me back into online poker. I'll take a coach and let's do it.
Well, yeah, no, that makes me nervous. But
Don't be nervous.
Ryan, for you, I'd consider it.
Yeah, consider it. Think about it. I would do something like that. We could turn it into something too. I could check this shit out, man. Uh, you're looking about having somebody on your show, on your Twitch stream. What better person to have than your student? And I could come
Yeah.
on and then we can talk about you can tell me what you're doing, why you're doing it, what you're thinking, or you can
Well, that's how I started with coaching is like I did a live coaching session with Drew on his stream.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Hey man, think about it. I would
I'll think about it. I'll think about it. Don't get your hopes up, but I will think about it.
yeah, I'm not getting my hopes up, but I would I'd throw it out there. I'd take some coaching.
Well, so
Yeah.
let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. If I at some point or another said to you, you need to coach someone, how would you feel about that?
See, I would like to do that. I would if I got to a point to where I thought I was able to coach, I'd be like, "All
See,
right,
that's whoa. Don't throw that condition out there. See, that's the condition
all
that
right."
I have.
If
That's the
some
exact position I have right now, which is I don't feel like I'm in a position to be able to coach
how
someone.
about this? My coach, 1DullGeek, says, "Hey Ryan, I've seen some results, and I like the way you're thinking, and I think this would benefit you, and I think you're ready." Then I would be like, "You know what? All right, I've trusted you this part. I've trusted you this far, and you haven't let me down yet. Then okay, I will start coaching because you've got me this far. My coach says that I'm ready to coach. Then who better to know? I'm always going to
Well, but
doubt
that's not what Drew is saying. Drew is not saying you're ready to coach. He's saying
that you should.
you should coach because it will force you to get ready to coach.
All right. Well, look, I'm the perfect candidate for that. I don't care if I
Wow, wow, you've gone on hard sell mode. Yeah, haven't you?
let's take over ACR. Let's do it.
Do you have a HUD?
I did, but I don't I did on my old computer. I'd have to switch some shit around. I don't know. Yeah, maybe or maybe not. I don't know if I have one anymore. But I mean, I can get one.
Oh man, I really stepped into it. I shouldn't have said anything.
Yeah, look,
That one I should have just left go.
you just go ahead and mull it over, have a nice hot tea with some honey in it,
Oh
sit
man.
by the fire, and just think about, not only would I get to learn how to teach, it's with a guy who doesn't care if he loses, and I could use him on my stream to do my little idea that I'm thinking about bringing other people on. It's a win-win-win.
I was just going to say that. I was just going to say whether you've gone to the win-win sales pitch. That's where it's going now. Oh, Ryan, man, you're cracking me up.
It's what I do, man.
Drew, I am certain that Drew is like, if he listens to this podcast, he's going to be like, tell him, Ryan, tell him. You tell him.
I've told Drew to do some things too, and I'm wanting him to do it. He knows what to do. I told him one of the ideas was to do every now and then do a W Coop event or something like that, like a Poker Stars event, where when they do those big series, I think he should go to Mexico since he's a
Oh
hot
yeah.
You can hitchhike to Mexico. It's not that far away. Throw up a little account up there and do some Poker Stars and bring the stream every a couple times a year. I think that'd be awesome for a stream and bring a lot of that exposure from the rest of the world.
Well, he's on the Thirst Lounge thing, right?
Oh, I heard about that. Is that I don't really know exactly what that is, but
So he is going to be hosting. Yeah, though it is a big deal. He's going to go get Bill Perkins is flying him and 9 other people down to host his stream boat thing, the thing that he does on his boat in the Caribbean, and he's going to be one of the hosts, and he's got a stake associated with that. And I mean, I think I personally think that the exposure from this is just going to absolutely explode his stream. I think that because of the people that are the hosts, he is by far the most experienced streamer Twitch streamer from a poker perspective. I don't have an opinion on the poker play of any of the other players. I don't know it. I don't know it well enough to have that opinion. But from a streaming perspective, he is like by far the most experienced streamer. And so it'll be interesting what he can do to leverage this, because I think it's going to blow up his stream, and I hope it does,
I hope it does too. Yeah, we need an American poker streamer to blow up.
He's also just he's just such a good guy.
Oh,
he's such a
he's number
he's
one.
such a and I just hope it blows. I hope
the community that he's built would be so amazing if he could build it to just like, you turn on Twitch and you see something like Lex or Jamie Staples, and they just have thousands of people watching. It'd be dope to see Drew make that community, his positive vibe community, reach thousands of people.
I think that would be cool.
America too, because mainly his main streamers or his main viewers are American. It'd be cool to get that just spread out all over the place.
Yeah, totally agree. I got to check the map to see where my wife is, because we're approaching time where I have to go.
Yeah, let's we can end this thing. I was hoping to talk about Bitcoin, but we can do that another time. And I've got
no. Good. Oh well, okay. There we go. I was going to say, go ahead and ask, but I do have about, I would say, 15 minutes. So if the question could be answered in 15 minutes.
No, Bitcoin's going to take longer than 15 minutes.
Yeah,
I was going to
probably.
Andreas Antonopoulos, is Bitcoin Jesus?
No, Bitcoin. No, Andreas, the Bitcoin Jesus is a guy who's, why is his name escaping me right now? I have Google.
I got to pee. I can't hold it. You Google that. Hold on court for like 45 seconds.
Roger Ver is Bitcoin Jesus. So while he's off peeing, let me just put in my tiny little plug for Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin is the best thing to happen to money in centuries. So I'm a big fan of Bitcoin. But I guess we'll talk about that later on. We'll talk about that when he comes, when we have another opportunity to do that, because the reason why I think that is complicated and varied. But I will say this: if you're asking me about Bitcoin as an investment, I have no idea. If you want to know what the price of Bitcoin is going to be, I really have no idea. I look at it from the technology perspective and what I think about the technology, and I also take a look at it from the the economics perspective. So there are my two favorite books on the topic are one by Andreas Antonopoulos called Mastering Bitcoin, which is a long treatise on how the technology actually works under the covers and what it's doing. It talks a little bit about some of the incentives behind it, but it's mostly technical driven. And then my other favorite book on the topic is a book called The Bitcoin Standard by Saifedean. Oh, I forget Saifedean's last name, but he is a professional economist who talks about Bitcoin and goes into the economics of Bitcoin. And his book is convincing me about Bitcoin. So anyway, you're back, and I answered all the questions of Bitcoin and while you were peeing. So you'll just have to rewatch it.
Beautiful. Well, my whole thing about bringing up the Bitcoin Jesus thing was you were going to be my Bitcoin Buddha.
Okay. Well, what I would say about Bitcoin, somebody at work asked me about Bitcoin the other day, and they said, you know a lot about Bitcoin. And I said, well, I know more than the average person knows about Bitcoin, but compared to what there is to know about Bitcoin, I don't know much. And where I am in my Bitcoin knowledge is like the difference between, say, a person who knows the rules of poker and knows some basic strategy of poker, compared to the average person who knows absolutely nothing, doesn't even know the rules of poker, right? I know more than the average person by a significant amount when it comes to Bitcoin, because the average person knows nothing. But I'm not someone like Daniel Negreanu. Right. I'm not there. So like what I know about Bitcoin is significantly more than the average person, but not anywhere near enough to be called where I would call myself like expert level, especially compared to someone like Andreas or like any of the core developers or any like even some of the people around the Bitcoin community. like there's a couple of podcasts that I like to listen to. What Bitcoin Did is a great podcast. Let's Talk Bitcoin is a great podcast. So like even like I know nothing compared to these guys. I'm just like a guy who read a couple of books and found it interesting, right? But I read the one book I read, Mastering Bitcoin. I could understand, I could comprehend the technology because as a developer I've got some experience with that. So that helped me. So compared to the average person, I know a lot, but compared to like what there is to know, I know, I'm an infant.
Yeah.
So
Are you gonna keep? Do you want to keep learning as much as you can about it, or are you kind of
I
like,
do, I
yeah,
do, I do. I think I Bitcoin is one of those things, like like Andreas describes it as the internet of money, and I think that that's an appropriate term. And I think like there's a guy named Wences Caceres who runs a major exchange called Zappo. It's outside of the U.S., but it's a very big exchange, and um, uh the combination of the two of them, they see, like Wences said something like, if you think about the internet gives people information. If you ask the average third world person, would they rather have information or would they rather have money? They'd rather have money. And
that's the
I'm
wrong
pretty,
answer. That's why they're a
I,
third world country.
well, I'm pretty convinced that Bitcoin is going to do for money what the internet did for publishing. It's
Hmm.
just going to change the game completely. So
That's
we
the
can
big.
talk about,
That's the great hope, right? Is that it does change the game, right?
um, I don't know that I would describe it as hope. I would say that getting people off of a monetary system that is centrally planned and centrally controlled and manipulatable by governments and mostly inflatable, is a big problem.
Hmm.
That government manipulation of the money system is really problematic, and I think that Bitcoin can do that. And the the hope part is the extent to which the world sort of pays attention and realizes that Bitcoin can do this. It's going to be fought against. People are going to fight against it, and people are not going to like uh governments are not going to stand idly by and just let their power disappear,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
um
Yeah. That's
but
for damn sure.
but but I think that I'm relatively convinced that Bitcoin can do it. So we'll see. We'll see, I guess.
Mark, I appreciate it so much. You've been an awesome friend and supporting the podcast and supporting me. I can't thank you enough for doing what you do and being you. Like from bottom of my heart, man, you stepped up for the first time and then I screwed up and you came back and bailed me out of this jam. Dude, thank you so much. I want you to coach me and and if there's anything you want to say before we get out of here, man, just go ahead and plug everything that you want. Let people
So
know whatever you want.
my stream is twitch.tv/1DullGeek. I have been pretty irregular on the stream here lately. I'm trying to remedy that. We'll see how that goes. And then on Twitter, I am same name, twitter.com/1DullGeek. That is probably the two best ways to get a hold of me if you want to get a hold of me. The main thing that I love doing on both Twitch and the technology side is if you have a question about how the technology works, I will try to answer it. So I love that is sort of my bread and butter, where I feel really good is trying to help people with technology. So those are the things that I really want to do. So if you have questions about how technology works, hit me up.
Unless it's with the Mac.
And I know nothing about Macs.
Yes. Yeah, you've always been at least willing to help me out, even though I have a Mac, and it's been awesome. And I have some stuff that I might be needing your help with soon down the road.
All right,
Um, but,
hit me
but
up.
yeah, everybody hit them up. It's the number one dull geek. Find them everywhere that way. Thank you guys, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed this podcast. The first one in the new studio. We'll have live guests in studio
Woo!
next week. Mark, Mark, thank you for being here. Thank you everybody for listening. And
Ryan, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
man, I appreciate you. Have a good one, everybody.
Listen to Neanderthal.